Hi, friends. So I got some inspiration. I actually made a little cup of tea here, and I'm just inviting you to come sit with me for a little fireside chat, little tea time here, um, as we really talk about how to not get caught up with other people's stuff. Hi, Bristol. Um, Especially on the holidays, right? Because we've got Thanksgiving coming up, and hey, Swan, hey, Alan, hey, Chelsea. Oh my gosh, all my friends, David, hey, what's up? Um, we've got the holidays coming up, and I don't know about you, and Sherry, but it's so common to like get a lot of triggers coming up when you're with family, maybe, and hey, Robin, and just, a lot can come up, right? I don't need to, hello, like preaching to the choir here. We all go in, we want to have a good experience, but kind of sometimes you're walking into certain situations with family, hey, Rebecca, where you're like, yeah, well, this is just family, or this is how these people are. And so how do we actually have some peace in our holidays? How do we not get caught up with other people's stuff? So I feel like this conversation particularly inspires me, because I used to, when I was at family functions, this used to be a time where I would totally go and binge and overeat. Hey, Suzanne. And it was just a time that I would check out, and I wouldn't even really be that aware. I'd go in, trying to do the right thing, trying to be nice, but somehow I would end up overeating. And hello, Thanksgiving is one of those holidays out of all the holidays where, hola, Bella, where we have a tendency to overeat. And so whether overeating's your thing, or whether there's not your thing, or drinking's your thing, or it's not your thing, or you just kind of want to have more peace inside of yourself, this is for you. So I hope that this is a dialogue, not a monologue. I hope that hey, Ashley, I hope that there is some interaction here, because I really want to hear from you. Actually, I would love to hear some of those big themes that really come up for you, as it relates to the holidays, being around family, because, let's face it, we talk about the holidays being this time of peace and joy on earth and happy holidays. And, we kind of get into all these little slogans, but how many people do you know get super freaking depressed on the holidays? And how many people do you know are like, gotta do the family thing, or whatever the story is, but like there's stress that comes up, there's anxiety that comes up. Yeah, Robin, you want more piece of cake. Yeah, well, that's usually what tends to happen, right? We want some peace, we end up eating a few more pieces of cake. So which is great if that's really, if you don't have a problem with that kind of thing. I used to have a problem with that kind of thing. So that actually wasn't a really good solution for me. But I do want to just have a chat with you today about some tools that have really worked in my own life. And I'd love to hear, from you, what you find can work for you as you listen to this stuff. I feel like there's ways that we can prepare, there's like the before, and then there's the during, and then there's even the after. And when I really consider the before, like if we're talking about what before, Thursday's Thanksgiving, for example, and walking into that is getting really intentional with a few things. It's very easy to kind of walk in with all of the things that we think that we know about how it's going to be and how people are going to be. And I'm not talking about, creating expectations for ourselves and others. But there's these ways, what I found is that there's these ways that we can really take responsibility for our experience. And that's what I'd like to share with you today. Hey, Pat, hey, Anderson and Angelina. There's these really wonderful ways that we can just take responsibility for our experience. And when I say responsibility, I don't mean taking everything personally or feeling responsible for everything that happens, because that's not what this is about. We are not here to take things personally. In fact, that's actually one of the problems, right? It's like taking on other people's stuff because we're taking on so much personally. Hey there, Anderson. And so I'm not talking about that so much, but taking responsibility, the way that I define that is I take ownership of what is mine, and I don't take ownership of what isn't mine. And I take care of myself in that situation. I take care of myself in all situations. I get to honor my yes and my no. I get to honor what feels true. And I'm not placating or people pleasing or pretending. And it's so important. And so, hey, Diane and Amanda. Oh my gosh, love, good to see you. And Angela, good to see you too. And so this first piece of being intentional, you know, when I really consider, like, let's take this Thursday, for example, I really consider, like, what do I want to create? Instead of going in with, okay, I know that it's going to be like this. And I mean, I love my family. I love my family, but I have a very, very intense family. Does anybody have an intense family? Lots of emotions, lots of opinions, really, really intense. I realized that I spent a lot of time, hey there, I spent a lot of time in my growing up trying to ground all of, like, the intense emotions and all the anxiety going on inside of me, try to ground that by eating. And I would go to food, and that would sedate me, and that would, like, kind of ground me. And, you know, today I have some different tools around that stuff. But so when there is and this doesn't have to be the holidays, right? This can be any kind of situation, any kind of environment, or maybe it's just your day-to-day living. You're like, how do I live with this person day to day and not get caught up with their freaking stuff? And so all of that is included. And so the first question is, like, what do I want to create? What do I want to create here? And am I open for a new experience? Am I open to have a new experience? And what could that possibly look like? And again, this isn't a time for expectations. It's just a time for an opening. And so that's the first question. The other question, another question that I ask as I'm getting intentional before the actual holiday or before the interaction or before the situation is, what do I want to experience? Or how do I want to be? Again, this isn't about me creating the picture perfect idea of what I think that I'm supposed to be and kind of being, you know, like everybody's everything and whatever, but like, how do I want to feel? What do I want to experience? Do I want to have fun? Do I want to feel playful? Do I want to be more present? What do I want to feel? What's going to light me up? You really are able to take ownership of your experience there. It's so powerful. And then this piece right here, hey, Cindy, good to see you. Anderson, same, I still do. I get intense around people, totally. I get intense. Other people are intense. It's a very, very intense household. I have a very, very intense household. Lots of just charge, lots of charge. But the other question that I ask is, what can I bring to this interaction or this situation? Now, that's not something that I ever used to think before, but today I have this gift, and I invite you to also become aware of your own gift, to be an alchemist of the environment. What do I mean by that? An alchemist of the environment. If I'm an alchemist of the environment, it means that I don't just walk into a situation and I'm a victim to the intensity or the anger or the charge or the anxiety or any of those things that are going on. Hey, Sigal and Natalie, good to see you. But that I walk in and I say, okay, so I can actually set the tone, and not to be manipulative with it, but like, what can I bring? What is the situation calling for? What do I deeply want in this situation? Because sometimes if I'm in a situation, I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody's listening to anybody. There's a lot of charge. Things are really hectic and frenetic. I don't know if anybody else has like frenetic holidays, but things can be very, very frenetic leading up to the holiday, preparing, cooking, getting everything ready. It can just be stressful, right? And so I might personally want, gosh, I just want to ground more. I want to have more peace. I just want to be able to like take a deep breath. What if I become the gift of that to the environment? What if I bring that to the space? And so what if just you being you and anchoring in, gosh, in this moment, I'm just going to ground. I'm going to feel my feet on the ground. I'm going to connect into my heart. Everyone's up in their head and there's opinions that are flying, and I'm just going to actually right now in this moment, because what I really want is to connect meaningfully. I want to feel present. I want to be able to be heard and be understood. And so in this moment, I'm going to be that gift into the space. I'm going to bring that. I'm going to actually listen to others, and not in a placating kind of a way, but I want to ground that. I want to be strong in me in that. And you'd be so surprised by how you doing that. It's like changing the aim of the game. You know, instead of just trying to get by or just kind of trying to fit in or keep up or, you know, smooth things over or manage other people's experience, you get to really take that ownership of, gosh, what can I bring into the space that I deeply want myself and that can be a gift to the environment? And just watch energetically how that actually can alchemize the entire space. How one person being in their truth, being in their power, being in their grace can actually catalyze such a powerful shift in the environment. Again, not from a manipulative place, but just from a deeply honoring place. It's how we can serve. It's how we can serve from a place of true authenticity and power and self-honoring, while we're honoring others. So I'm getting lots of comments here. I want to oh, yes, Pat, just exactly good to have no drama. Yeah, I was getting intense today and shy in the afternoon. By nighttime, confidence boost. Yeah, it's up and down, right? Up and down. People seem to approach, Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for that share. Oh, Carrie, oh my gosh. Carrie, speaking of holidays, I spent like all of my childhood holidays with Carrie. I'm so glad to have you on this. It's so beautiful. But yeah, gosh, it's so beautiful. So that intention of bringing all of those things, you know, who do I want to be in the space? What do I want to experience? What can I bring? What can I gift? You know, am I bringing frankincense and myrrh and gold? Am I bringing my presence? Am I bringing understanding? Am I bringing love? Am I bringing light? What am I bringing into the space? And what do I want to create here? What can be new? What can I be excited about stepping into a new experience around? So that's all the before. And then one of the things that I personally do is I also, like, right before stepping into, like, let's say I drive up, or whether you're flying up or whatever, you know, however you're arriving, or maybe people are coming to your house, but just taking those few moments to connect in. For me, it's through prayer, just really grounding and connecting into source, connecting into my own inner connection with source, and really just asking to be reminded, to be present, and to focus on the connection, and to be reminded in those moments where I start to get caught up in other people's stuff, to just come back to ground, and to connect into me, and to connect into the truth of who I am. And so I have a prayer, and prayer is something that I use, the before, the during, the after, the all throughout, the in between, the over, the under, because it is so powerful just to bring that awareness. And that allows me to go from like reactionary mode into like just a moment of inner reflection that allows me to just reestablish my grounding, to reestablish my footing, and to connect into the truth here of who I really, really am. So prayer is a really important thing. Then there's the stuff that happens during. So I want to talk about that. I know there's some comments here. Yes, exactly. Up and down and all around. Yes, yes, yes. We definitely want to be the gift of shine, and yes, absolutely. So, so during, this is a piece that, again, in the past, before I really knew this critical piece, I used to use food to do this. So, and this is about presence, becoming present, and doing that by connecting in my body. I didn't know how to do that before. I'd get really anxious, and I wouldn't really know that I was anxious. I would just all of a sudden like want to go for seconds and thirds and fifths and sevenths and all this kind of stuff, you know, and like not be able to be present with other people. But during the actual holiday or during any interaction or any conversation, to just really get present in your own body, to get out of your head and to ground, to feel your feet on the ground. It's so powerful. This is like instant anxiety buster, instant overwhelm buster, to truly, truly just be able to come into that connection with yourself. And there's something very, very powerful and intimate when we can come into our connection with our bodies. I want you just to notice the difference. If I'm here and I'm talking and I'm animated and it looks like I'm connecting with you and I'm really, really excited, versus connecting deeply into the very, very center of who I am. And then reaching out to you from a place of deep, deep center, and not needing you to fix me and not needing myself to fix you. In fact, seeing you as whole and seeing me as whole, and us both being in this experience together. And I feel supported, and I feel grounded, and I feel in me as I connect with you, and it actually allows me to connect with you from a deeper place of truth. And so that's what's available for us when we can be in our bodies. And all I'm doing right now, for those of you who aren't sure what I'm actually doing, but maybe you feel me on some kind of a subtle level, is I'm just bringing my awareness down below my belly button into my pelvis. And I'm just allowing my awareness to rest into the seat of my pelvis. This is just one of the things that I love teaching. I love showing people how to do. It's a practice. But when we can do that, then we can actually be grounded in our truth and who we are, and yet touch the world from a deeply, deeply intimate place that allows us to be open and not need to create all of these boundaries, right? Because boundaries are something that we create when we don't feel safe inside of ourselves. Or we don't have any boundaries, right? And then we're like, okay, I need boundaries. I've got really weak boundaries and I really need boundaries. But do we really need boundaries? Or do we just need to find a place of such resounding safety within ourselves that we feel safe walking into any environment, stepping into any conversation? Because we trust in that moment, we trust that we are going to be true to this locus inside of ourselves. That there's like a plumb line of truth that's moving through us that we can actually find resonance with. And then from that place, then it's like, it almost like self-corrects. There isn't any people please, because it's just, I'm resonating with this truth that's in here. And if that creates a conflict or a differing opinion, then I get to hear that and we get to have a conversation about that, but that I get to stay true inside of me. There are these really subtle ways that can be. So I just want to, Whitney, good to see you, and Kate and Aileen and Chris and all these amazing people. I'm so honored that you are joining this conversation. And I'd really love to hear where this conversation lands with you, what those situations are, and what tends to happen. Does this come up in your intimate relationships? Does this come up with your partner, with your husband, with your wife, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend? Does this come up with your family? Does this come with your friends or with clients, or just walking in the world and you just find yourself taking stuff personally, getting caught up in other people's stuff, getting caught up in for all of our empaths in the world, actually not being able to leave the house sometimes, or go around in a crowded room, be in a crowded room, because you can't not just feel everything and pick up on everything. I'm an empath, and all these tools work for that too. Because there's something so powerful about being able to, again, be so intimately connected with yourself and the world around you, and yet not take it personally. There's a distinction. And in fact, when we take stuff personally, it blocks intimacy, because we are then in like this cycle of selfish thinking, even if our thinking is about how we can make it okay for everybody else. There's still, it's like all this kind of like processing and self-consciousness and self-centered thinking. And so the way that we can just banish all of that, truly, truly come back to our own truth, right? Because that's what this is all about, coming back to your truth, coming back to your power, coming back to who you really know that you are and how you can really serve the world from that place. That's what we're talking about here, is being able to be safe in here, connect with you intimately, but not take on your shit. So presence is so powerful. One of the things that helps me also is just stepping into nature. The other piece of being present for me is also getting real with what I'm feeling in the moment. Anxiety is a feeling that covers up other feelings. Does that make sense? Anxiety, hey lol. Anxiety happens, but when I'm feeling anxious, and actually this happened last year, where I was starting to feel anxious, and I just took a moment, and I got really clear about what was going on. And in that moment, my brother-in-law came by, and he's like, hey, what's up? And he was just kind of, he wasn't like, hey, how are you doing? Like, he was just casually being like, what's up? And it would have been really easy for me to be like, hey, good, how you doing? Because we haven't seen each other in a long time. We hadn't had a catch up. But that felt incongruent. It felt inauthentic. It felt like that just wasn't true for me in that moment, because what I had just uncovered was that I was feeling really lonely in that moment. And so I just turned to him and I said, yeah, I'm feeling lonely, actually. That's what's coming up right now. And he's like, cool, yeah. Do you want to talk about that? And I said, yeah, I think, we kind of had this really beautiful, intimate conversation. And that is not something that I never, ever would have thought was possible. It didn't mean that I was making it messy, or that I was being awkward, or that he was feeling responsible for managing my experience, because I didn't make him responsible for my experience, because I was being responsible for my experience. And part of me being responsible for my experience and actually honoring him was being authentic and true in that moment. And then without having the layers of shame and make wrong about what that meant about me, but just actually not having attachment, just like, yeah, this is what's happening in my space right now. And it allowed us to come together in this really beautiful moment of deep intimacy and connection. And then we moved on. And what was really powerful was that just that connection and that authentic expression actually shifted the whole experience for me anyway. And the loneliness went away anyway, because I had had a moment of true intimacy. And so these are the things that get to be available when we just give ourselves that gift. And so this, presencing, becoming present, connecting into your body and getting real with what you feel and being able to speak from that authentic place, that is so invaluable. And I also know that sometimes when you're getting real with what you feel, you're feeling freaking triggered and angry because people are pissing you off. And that happens too, especially if you're around family. Love you, family. But that can happen too around family and and friends and whatever, and just any situation, right? Life can just do that. So that's super real too. And one of the things that I've done in the kind of when we're actually at a holiday in a situation, sometimes that means I need to remove myself, go to the bathroom, sit down, and just act and pray in that moment, ground in that moment, connect, walk into nature. One thing that you'll find about me is that I can't stand the term "let it go," like, oh, I just need to let that go. I just find that, I don't know, it's like, it seems like spiritual bypass to me. It seems like trying to override what's real by kind of smoothing over, like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel that, or kind of placating, or kind of stepping into that self-righteous, like, oh, that's just the best they can do because, you know, and I'm still kind of in that judgy space, and it doesn't tend to create any more peace. Hey, Diane, that's me. I don't know which part that I just said, but yes. Hey, Edwin, good to see you. I don't know which part is the that's me, but you could just expand on that in a moment. But you know, we have this tendency to do that sometimes. And in my experience, that does not create peace. That creates more judgment, more self-righteousness, more holier than thou, more separation, less intimacy, right? And it's kind of not what we're going for. And so this actually brings me to the last piece that I want to get into, which is whether, is this a before thing? Is this a during thing? Is this an after thing? It's kind of an always thing, is taking responsibility for our triggers. This is so, so important and so, so powerful. And again, I want to be really, really clear that I'm not talking about taking everything personally or being feeling like you're responsible for every single thing that's happening in the space. I just, like, no. But taking responsibility for my triggers is a way that will lead me to more peace. And I want to actually share, yes, learn from the past, self-harm too, absolutely. So I want to share actually something that happened really recently for me, where I got like one of my long-standing triggers came up. I was invited to like be part, to support and to be a guide and to like kind of be like a co-facilitator of this huge event that happened. And the person who was organizing it like had invited me and it had invited me and a couple, you know, like a group of other powerful female leaders, and I felt really honored and I was really excited. Well, something got slipped through the cracks and my name got lost in the shuffle. And so this event was like 2 days away, and I followed up with the organizers, like, hey, I haven't heard anything about this. And she's like, oh, oops. I forgot about you, you know, like you're kind of not in it. Anyway, this thing happened. I went into instant insignificance space. I mean, like you could see why, right? Instant, I'm not enough, instant insignificant, instant, I don't matter, instant, like, you know, if I was just more fill in the blank, this wouldn't have happened. Like I just, it triggered that part of me that just is like, see, no one cares. I don't matter. I'm insignificant, you know, all this stuff. And oh my God. And then I was pissed. I was so, so pissed because I wanted to contribute and that's not, and oh my goodness. And so it was really powerful when this aha came to me because what I really got to see was, wait a second, I am reacting, you know, because here's the thing, like the situation itself, this is somebody else's event, like in the grand scheme of life, it's probably a blip on the screen, right? I mean, this is like, I know it's a really powerful event, but it's not something that warranted that level of trigger, pissed off, like I was, I mean, it really, really got me. And I called my mom in South Africa on WhatsApp. I was like, this happened. And, you know, but it was actually really, I mean, it was wonderful because she held space and because I was really sad. My inner girl was just like, oh my God, inner girl stuff was coming up big time. But that was the beauty, was because I realized, hang on a second, this trigger that's going on right now is part of a long storyline of mine. This is not about the situation. This is not even about this person. This is actually about a situation that happened and then what I did with it. The meaning that I made from it, the places that I went with it. That's not actually what the situation itself was neutral. It was a mistake that another human being made because guess what? Human beings are human. but I did something with it because I had a story with that. So I made the significance out of being insignificant, right? And so as soon as I had that awakening, that aha, it shifted my experience of this woman, actually. Because instead of seeing her as this source of my trigger and seeing it as the problem initiated outside of me, and now I have to deal with the situation inside of me, it was reversed. I got to see, no, this trigger is living, hey Reggie, is living deep, deep inside of me. And because of that, this person, this angel, has reflected a piece of me, a part of me that has been unintegrated, a part of me that needs more love, a part of me that needs more attention, a part of me that needs to heal. And so the work is for me on the inside to heal that piece inside of myself, to connect in with the truth of who I really am, so that that little inner girl inside can crawl into my lap and I can help her. I can tell her that she's significant, and I can connect into source, and I can say, remind me, remind her, remind every single person on this planet that they are significant, that they matter. And I can resource with that deep truth inside of me. And then from that place, I can go and I can connect with this woman. And that is what happened. And so then the situation would have it, this woman called me. She felt horrible. But because I had moved through all of that inside of myself, when I talked to her, I was full of gratitude. And I said, sister, you know, like you and I might have had a little contract there where you were supposed to show up in this way that had me bring up this trigger, because I just got in touch with a part of myself that had been unintegrated, that I had not been shining any light on. And now I've been able to bring that in. I've been able to shine some light on that. And thank you for that. Thank you for that. And it actually, you know, after I got over all of that, what ended up happening was that she's like, babe, you need to just come, just show up to this event. I ended up showing up, I ended up co-helping and doing all the things that I was supposed to do in the first place. But that's besides the point. The point is that there was so much peace and freedom in taking responsibility for my own trigger, and how that freed up the space for me to be able to have more meaningful connection and intimacy with others. So gosh, I hope that some of those tools, I mean, I would love to just hear from you at this point, and just hear, you know, what of what I shared landed. What do you feel like are some tools that you might walk away with, or what is something that you want to share and add into the space? I would just love to hear that from any of you. This topic, I find that whether we're dealing with the holidays or whether we are just dealing with day-to-day living, you know, the more we can really cultivate those practices that allow us to be in ourselves, with ourselves, grounding deeply into ourselves and resourcing fully the truth of who we are, we can move forward in any situation, whether it's the holidays, whether it's any day. And we get to be the gift. And you all showing up here today are the gift for me. Thank you so much for just taking this time out and for sharing it with me. It's such an honor. It's such an honor to have you as a friend. It's such an honor to have you in my community of souls. And so please just let's continue to shine our light. I love you so much. Mwah.